Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Not the Onesie Piece podcast. This is actually a separate podcast that I was lucky enough to be a part of called the Grand Fleet podcast, where a whole bunch of other One Piece YouTubers come together and talk about a theme. This week's theme was the Five Gorosei. So feel free to check out the description to see all these guys below. And there were some audio issues, heads up. It's not perfect, but it's not too unbearable. Hopefully you can deal with it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll be back on Wednesday with our typical Onesie Piece podcast.
Welcome to the Grand Fleet podcast. In this podcast, we are counting down to chapter 1000, and we are continuing with number 5, the Gorosei, the 5 elders, and also the world government. So let's name off our members here. I'm Smizzle. Somebody else go. Somebody else name themselves.
I'm Brobble from Brobble D Boy.
I'm King Kayzee. From King Kayzee 75.
I'm Jake from Down the Weeaboo Hole.
I'm WaddlesJr. from the Onesie Piece podcast.
All right, yeah, so we got a new member here today.
Hello.
One thing I meant to do is do like a bulleted list of a bunch of different things we could talk about not only the Gorosei but also the world government, but I forgot to do that, and so this one's going to be a little bit more freeform. It's like, for one thing, we just don't know very much about the Gorosei, so it's difficult to start talking about them. You
should definitely narrow it down somehow.
Yeah, one thing I just do know about the Gorosei is that they are sort of based on real world leaders, and both past and present. Yeah, you got the one guy who looks like Gandhi, and there's this other guy who has a big mustache and a birthmark.
Yeah, I know that guy.
He's based on a Russian politician. He has a very similar stain-like birthmark on his forehead. His name is Michael or something. It's definitely like a Russian variant of the name Michael. It's spelled Mikhail.
Oh, Mikhail.
And then Gorbachev, Gorbachev. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's I don't really see anything that may what this character, what the parallels between this character and Gorbachev are, but I don't know. It's interesting, I guess. There's nothing really it's really hard to glean anything. I honestly can't name the other Gorosei, who they're based on. Because there's the red guy, and there's the guy who looks like he could be Gonfal's brother, and then there's the other one who's kind of eluding me right now. I think he wears a different colored suit. No, there's a guy who has a scar. He's got
there's the blonde one, right?
Yeah, there's the blonde one. He's the red one. That's what I was thinking of.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Then there's also the guy with the cane, I think. He's kind of sitting there. He's got kind of these big curl thingies. They look almost like they could be either those George Washington type curls, or maybe even dreadlocks, really thick dreadlocks, And he's got a cane and a scar on his face, I think. And then there's the Gandhi one with the sword.
Is he actually based on Gandhi?
Yeah, okay, so...
Yeah,
I have trouble believing that.
I never noticed that, but he does look a lot like Gandhi.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's based off Gandhi.
Yeah, okay, so as always, Library of O'Hara has, looked into some similarities, and what he's put down is that the blonde guy with the thingy is a bit similar to Abraham Lincoln, although I guess he looks a bit less similar, since there's that guy who looks literally outright like him in the Reverie, one of the kings. Then of course we have Samurai Gandhi, and he also seems to look like one other kind of Japanese dictator named Hideki Tojo. And then next we have the guy who looks like Gunfal's brother, based off as you said, the Russian politician Mikhail. I have no idea how to pronounce this. Gorbachev. Yeah, Gorbachev, something like that. And then we have the guy with the birthmark on his head, right? After the Japanese politician Itagaki Taisuke, and then finally the other guy with his scar coming up his eye, based off Karl Marx, Russian activist.
Oh,
I think,
wow. Karl
like,
Marx?
knowing Hideki Tojo and like all these other guys, I think they're all supposed to represent pretty much corrupt leaders. I think that's like the whole thing they're trying to get at. Like that's why I was kind of confused by Gandhi, is because like each of these guys, like obviously Hideki Tojo, like he wasn't like Hirohito was like the actual figurehead of Japan during World War II, but like Hideki Tojo was the one that was like controlling the military and doing all those really bad things, and like ruling over like as like an absolute leader, which is very much makes sense considering that the world government is this sort of authoritarian like force in the world.
Yeah, I wonder if they're like not necessarily supposed to be, because I mean they're all kind of controversial figures in a way. Like Gandhi, although very peaceful, was like super controversial in his own way. So I think maybe that's where it comes from. So it's interesting.
Yeah, that's an interesting take. One thing that's interesting is that like there have been a few theories about the fact about Sword Gandhi's sword. I don't know if you guys have seen it or like noticed it, but like his sword looks like the sheath or the scabbard. It doesn't look. There's no real detail in it. There's no real design. It looks very bland. But the handle looks a lot like the two Katetsu blades, the Sandai Katetsu, which Zoro had at one point, and then the Nidai Katetsu, which Luffy had for like 5 seconds in the beginning of Wano. And so, like the hilt, it looks the handle. It looks like people have been theorizing that it could be the Shodai Katetsu, and
which is one of the 12 great blades, right?
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, so like the Shodai Katetsu, like Shodai means first, Nidai means second, and Sandai means third. So like, that's interesting, I guess. I don't know. It's an interesting theory, but like we don't really know anything beyond that. Like one thing we do know that the Sandai Katetsu, that's from Wano, because the guy who made it is from Wano, and the Nidai Katetsu is from Wano. So how would the Shodai Katetsu have gotten into the hands of the world government, and even more specifically, the hands of like the one of the most figuratively powerful people in the world government? Like, got any theories or takes on that?
I mean, as to how it would have, I mean, I don't think that's very hard. I mean, you just beat someone who has a sword and you take it. But I think just the whole interest in the swords as well, because this Samurai Gandhi, because we don't know his name, guy, of all the Gorosei, he's the only guy who doesn't wear a suit. He just kind of wears, what he wears.
Yeah, he wears his robes,
Yeah, he just looks very casual and all that. So I'm not sure. Like, maybe that's why people assume that of all the Gorosei, maybe he fights or something like that. And then, maybe he's kind of like that Zoro character who's just kind of laid back. Imagine Zoro when he's really old. He's still wearing sword. He'll be very laid back kind of thing. But I'm also not sure, like, why, the Gorosei would be interested in swords, but not really all of them, just kind of like one of them. I don't know.
Yeah.
It could be like a sort of like superiority thing, or like, because again, going back to like the whole, like the world government is this authoritarian force, which is seen through Akainu in the Marines, but I think even deeper, like, it shows like the darker, because like Akainu, he's like a sort of, like he's more authoritarian in a sense that, in a way that he thinks, works well. Which, I mean, it still doesn't, because he kills innocent people, but like that's a whole other debate. And then like the world government, which actually is the one that is like pretty much shameless in the acts, like does not have like a sense of justice in the way they're doing, just a sense of like staying alive, and maintaining their power through absolute authority. So I think that kind of like explains sort of why he would have that sword, right? Because if it was in the hands of the citizens of Wano, which are this country that like directly defies the world government, does not like associate it with it at all, and they have this great sword that is like one of the 12 greatest swords in the world. I think the Gorosei would want to keep that for themselves, just as like a sort of flex, or like like dominant, like a way to state their dominance over the rest of the world, and Wano in particular.
Yeah,
that's a good take.
That's interesting.
So basically what the theory that Brobble was talking about is that they have the other Saijos. That's the theory.
Mm. Oh. Oh.
Besides like Whitebeard.
I mean, that would be crazy if they had. I mean, a couple of them. Just saying.
Yeah.
People speculate like we know some are in the world like circulating. Like we know about Mihawk's Yoru is one, and then Whitebeard's Naginata, whatever that's called, Mudokumo Giri, I think, right? But those are the only two confirmed besides the Shodai Kitetsu, right? So if the world government had a lot of other ones, and people think Shanks' Griffin might be like whatever, that doesn't really matter for this discussion. But like if like the world government were to have like the rest of not the rest, but like a good portion of them, that would not surprise me at all.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's also something I think to note is that like on Eames' throne, on the supposed empty throne, there are like a bunch of weapons put there. Do you think some of those weapons could be like the Saijos? Is that what they're called?
I think yes. Saijo Owazamono.
Yeah, Saijo Owazamoto whatever.
I don't know the grades too well.
But do you think they could be those? Like some of those could be those? I feel like that would be kind of a waste because like they're like all of them they're just
showpiece.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it would make
sense. You could
sense.
also spin it away, which would be interesting. That maybe not all of them, but like like we're saying, that good portion, those are the ones, and it's kind of like we always see like it's always great and amazing characters in One Piece who have these Saijos. So to say that the world government has taken down, I don't know, maybe 8 other people who have Saijos, it's like, wow, how incredible are these people who the world government has taken down? And then you name kind of like legends kind of thing.
Yeah. That's really cool.
I guess that could be interesting.
Yeah, but I get what you mean, that you don't want like all of them to just be like just there, not in use, and never see them again.
But we're also heading towards the end of One Piece. How many characters are they going to introduce? Because how many swords are left that need to be shown?
Exactly.
I mean, just
ten?
show them all into
10?
with the Yonko and all that. Just give Big Mom one, make Napoleon one, make Kaido's club another one.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. They don't necessarily be swords as well.
Yeah.
Make Blackbeard's dagger Saijo.
Make Roger's sword the Saijo.
Oh yeah. Rayleigh's one.
Yeah, make Rayleigh's sword the Saijo. Scopper Gabon has two. Has two blades, right? He has two axes, right? So he can make 2 of those. You can make 2 of those Saijo. So yeah.
I would honestly prefer the whole world government thing because like Oda has waited so long. We've only had 3 that are confirmed with only 2 owners that are known, right? Only 3 like Saijos that are confirmed. If like, it was just like a ton of, I would honestly prefer the explanation that the reason we didn't know about so many of them is because the world government has so many of them, to like the fact that like we don't I would rather prefer that to him just like doing a cop-out answer of him just saying, oh, by the way, this one was one. By the way, this one was one. By the way, this one was one. Like, I'm fine with him doing that with some time, but like for the rest of them, that would kind of irk me a little. So I would prefer the world government having him.
Well, I wouldn't want the world government to have like more than, I don't know, more than like 6. That because that's half of them. But it would make sense. But yeah, it would make sense if they had like a few, but not all, not like every single one just not be in use, But maybe we get like maybe we do get to see like the owners, or like we get to know what the owner was known for, or whatever. Like when we see the blades like when we see the blades, or like have them revealed to us, we get to find out like what the owner was like, just a little piece. Like let's say they go up to the top, like let's say there's for whatever reason the Straw Hats, they go up to Marijois or whatever, or maybe the revolutionaries, they go and see the empty throne, and they're like looking at the blades, and then one guy is just like, oh, that blade is the this blade or whatever, like that blade is the that blade could like slice mountains in half, and it was owned by this guy, and it was about like this. It was owned by this guy, and the guy was like somebody from 800 years ago during the Void Century who could, slice mountains in half. And like there used to be dinosaurs, and now there isn't because that guy killed every single dinosaur on Earth or something like that. I feel like Jake wouldn't like someone like that, but
I mean,
that'd be the worst character.
I mean, you could also have it like them say that, oh, when they caught Roger, they put Roger's sword there, and that was a Sidro.
right. Yeah, exactly. That makes sense.
That's much better.
Yeah. A bit of a question, unrelated, like still with the Sidro Azumonas, kind of. It's a bit more with Black Blades, but a tangent question, because this has not been confirmed and we don't know. But do you guys think that if you have a Black Blade in the sword, and you're a person who doesn't have haki, can you injure a Logia user?
Probably not.
Because Zoro, for all Zoro has Shusui, he never went up against a Logia user before the time skip, and like we went to the time skip, so we don't know. But I mean, just because of the whole process seems to involve armament haki, which is helpful against Logia users. Then
Yeah. So here's the thing. Sidjo Wazamonos or whatever, they're not necessarily Black Blades, right? So but I could see Black Blades being I could see Black Blades being able to hurt Logias. That would make sense to me at least.
I agree, but I don't think that'll ever be confirmed. Because
right.
If you ask me, what I think Zoro has known haki since Alabasta. So I think even if he were to do that, like, I don't think we would get like a definitive answer. But if it's side the haki, I'd say there's a chance that they could. But who knows?
I mean, it's still possible, but if Oda really wanted to do that, I feel like he just would have done it sooner instead of implementing all this haki like into the swords. I just feel like it would have been brought up at some point before.
I agree with that too. Wait a minute. Didn't Zoro cut? Didn't Zoro cut? What's her name?
Monet.
Monet with Shusui.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Oh.
There's the.
But he knew haki at that point.
Yeah, he didn't know.
But yeah, it was also a Black Blade. So like, I don't know.
That's true.
Like it was already a Black Blade, so you could just say like if Oda wanted to retcon that, I mean, you could just say like, oh,
I mean, yeah, you could. I mean, there's many explanations for that one, kind of, because you still have the whole argument of what Brobble's referring to in Alabasta, where it's like he can decide what to cut and what not to cut as well. So
right.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that was just a tangent question. But coming back to the Gorosei, I think the thing that kind of makes everyone kind of question the world government, the Gorosei, and as everything as a whole, especially with their relationship with the Marines, because it doesn't seem like they're buddies. It seems like the Marines should listen to us, and that's just the way it works. You don't talk back, you don't do anything.
Yeah.
We kind of saw the way they treated Akainu when Akainu came by. And it's just interesting as to why do the Navy listen to the world government? Why aren't the Navy kind of like their own third party, like non-government party? We're just the Marines who keep the order. Like, why do they listen to the world government?
Well, I feel like this is just like maybe like the world government, like the way I see it, like the world government just created the Marines, and so like since they created the Marines, they're the ones who say like what they gotta do. Is like in the real world, the Marines, they're the actual Marines, the actual Army, the Navy, and all that. They listen to the government, and like they listen to the government of whatever country they're in. So yeah, and the U.S. government or whatever, they created the U.S. Marines, the U.S. Army, and everything. So yeah, that's how I think that works.
Yeah, that's how I always saw it as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say that, but there's also definitely a definitive like divide between the two, right? Because I mean, obviously, like there's a good chance that the reason the Navy came about is because the world government like united all those countries and probably all those like individual branches of Marines that probably there are probably like pre-existing branches of Marines that existed in the world,
and they all just merged,
like united them as the like countries united as well. And then that's probably how the hierarchy made. And even though there's like over time there's like big divide between the two organizations, like the Marines and the world government, has like occurred. It's still like you can't really just like break an established system like right away. So like
Yeah, this has been going on for a long time. So
yeah, it's like too hard to break like a precedent, even if you are literally at the top of the organization that Akainu is in, and you could see he hates the Gorosei. Like he cannot stand working at like he's probably more free as like a admiral than he is as the fleet admiral now.
yeah, if they go against the world government, it's just gonna be anarchy everywhere.
Right. He probably knows that.
The social order, and then pirates take over.
It's like the way you could make an equivalent for like just a normal person working at a grocery store, or like me. I've been working at a Wendy's for the last month or so, and occasionally there will just be like these I don't even know who they are exactly, like general manager, regional manager, something like that. Like they'll just come into our kitchen, and they'll be wearing like a suit, like not a suit, but like a button down shirt and like some slacks, and they'll just be coming around like inspecting everything we're doing, and then just telling us we're doing something wrong. And then they'll go to the back and do some paperwork, and then they'll just walk out. I feel like the Marines and the Gorosei, like they have that sort of relationship where like the Gorosei are the guys with the button-up suits walking around and telling us what to do, and then the Marines are the ones actually doing the stuff,
Doing the work, yeah.
Yeah.
It reflects it's like reflected there. I think it's like a very real world thing that Oda wants to display, and that's why it's so easy to like draw a parallel to something like that. But it's also like even beyond like the dynamic between the Marines and the like world government itself, like it's a very prevalent it's a very like reoccurring theme in the series as a whole, right? Because like we got like even in like you look at like Alabasta, and even though that whole revolution was staged, like they had that sort of similar like dynamic where they felt they were being cheated, where like their rulers were like they had these luxuries that the original people weren't allowed to have, and like they felt powerless. That's kind of why they rebelled. And like sure, that's possible on a smaller scale, like just one country, but this is literally like a world organization, and it's like also like it represents just like this, like the fact that you can't break a system is so like breaking a system is so challenging, and like you can't just like it takes like a lot of like setup and like forces to back you. There's a similar dynamic between the world government and each Yonko, right? So I don't know. That's like I feel like it's just like a very like important theme that they emphasize. Yeah, I think a big part of it, like the secret power that the world government has, like beneath like whatever that straw hat is or whatever. A lot of it is probably related to like whatever power that the world government has hidden, right? Like whatever secrets they hold, like if the straw hat or like if the Gorosei are strong fighters, like they definitely have power to back up whatever they have.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's why the relationship with the Kainu is so interesting, because you see him pushing back, like he doesn't love that he has to do this, but it's kind of a necessity, because if you go against him, like what's going to happen? Nothing good, right?
You'll be like a war criminal.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess we could like kind of move on to like just the world government in general. Do you guys want to talk about like the 20 countries? The original 20 countries. Do we know which ones they were?
Yeah, I was going to ask that.
We know a couple.
We know a couple of them. We know Alabasta. Well, off the top of my head, I know that it's Alabasta and Dressrosa. But are there any others?
I'm trying to think here.
Yeah.
Does the Goa Kingdom be one?
Maybe. Hold on. The Goa Kingdom.
Oh yeah,
that was what, the East Blue place, right?
Yeah, where Luffy, Garp, and those guys come from.
Just looking at the wiki, the only two that are listed are Alabasta and Dressrosa.
That's it. Wow. Okay.
That's an interesting topic. What do you guys think are other ones?
The Goa Kingdom could be one. Here's an idea that like maybe there's like there's 4 in every single like part of the world. Like there's 4 in the East Blue, 4 in the Grand Line, 4 in 4 in East Blue, 4 in the West, 4 in the North, 4 in the South, and then 4 in the Grand Line. That would make 20. So that's just kind of an idea. It's not really based on anything except that it just be evenly spaced out, and it just makes sense to me because like it's all of the world, so like you got a piece of every part of the world, forming the government. That would make sense to me.
Yep.
Yeah, I
can see
agree with
that.
that. That's good.
You could also say there's like maybe 2 in like Paradise and then 2 in the New World, but I feel like Paradise and the New World, they weren't really considered. They really didn't have those names until much more recently than the world government was formed.
Yeah, and 2 pirates basically.
Those names were probably like formed, or like those names were probably like they started to stick or whatever closer to like 50 years ago at most. Back when back in Roger and
Brooke.
Back in Roger and Rox's days, that's probably when they were starting to like be named those names. One thing I just thought of is like Zeph. Do we know when exactly Zeph was a pirate? Like around the time period? I don't even remember exactly how old Zeph is, but I do know that Luffy's called the Grand Line of Paradise because Zeph called the Grand Line mentioned Paradise to him at one point or another, and that was like some epic foreshadowing or something like that.
I just read that yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, it says
so-
here that Zeph is 67 right now.
67, 65 when you 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
So, do we know like when he was sailing or when he? Okay, so we know when he retired. We know when he stopped sailing the Grand Line, and that was when he was taking care of Sanji, which was how many years ago?
22 years before the story.
It's not like Sanji.
Not when Sanji was born.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
It'd probably be
Right.
like
Yeah.
10 years ago.
yeah. Sanji was
Right.
9, right? Yeah, yeah. Sanji, so yeah, that was I think 12 years ago. Last
Yeah.
time, post time, right?
Yep, exactly.
Okay, 12 years ago, post time skip. So that's when he stopped sailing. We don't really know when he started sailing, but I want to say like whenever he was like at his peak or near his peak, that's probably around when they first started calling it Paradise in the New World, and that would make sense to me because he had the log of the Grand Line. And he's probably like, and so like he probably, I could see like in that log or something, he said, oh, they're starting to call this part of the Grand Line Paradise. And they're starting to call this part the New World. And, that's where my headcanon is for the moment, that makes sense to me.
I mean, it's definitely like a word of mouth thing that's developed. Like
Definitely.
Sure,
Yeah.
that
It's
is
not
like
like the
probably-
world government. It's not like the world government came and was like, yeah, let's call it let's call it Paradise and let's call it the New World. Because why would they?
It's a pirate thing.
Yeah.
You're right. It's a pirate thing, definitely.
It's not like they encourage people to explore the Grand Line, so it definitely would not be like they wouldn't be like this is paradise.
Yeah, please come.
It's like made by pirates that have been to the New World, because like it's definitely not paradise when you get there, but it's
Mhm.
paradise in comparison. Like that's like kind of the whole thing. Think about that. So
Yeah.
it's definitely like a thing the world government would discourage, but I don't know that not enough to care about what like it being called that.
Mm-hmm. But
I was kind of wondering, when it comes to like the world government as a whole, like do you guys have any like theories? I know this is like not a very kind thing to ask off, like to make you do on the spot. Like, do you have any theories like regarding what sort of like hidden powers the world government have? Like, if there's like something beneath the straw hat, big straw hat, there is the straw hat itself a
political
weapon.
power?
It's even strong.
Well,
I don't know.
here's my thing.
How do you guys? Go ahead.
Here's my thing. It would make sense to believe that AIM is strong. It would make sense because since he's the world. He's apparently it seems to be like he's the ruler of the world more or less, and it would make sense like if it seems like the ultimate enemy of the pirates and by extension the main characters. That like AIM is like one of the in-game villains, so it would like it makes sense to think that, in my opinion. and I don't really hold in anything against them. But what I do say is that like it's pretty dumb to like try to power scale Eam, try to put him at like their top 10 or like I hate this phrase too, top 1. I hate when people say that unironically, but like it makes sense to think that he must be pretty strong, but like to people to actually like power scale him and try to put him solidly at this level or that level, or it's kind of dumb, you know. Like just be patient and like just wait and watch until like he's shown. Like people also try to like predict what his powers are is going to be. Like we don't know, and that's the whole point. You know, we're not supposed to.
I could either see Eam as super strong or super weak. Either way.
Yeah, me too. I think it would make a lot of sense, like thematically. It could make a lot of sense thematically if he was just super weak and he's only like physically, not physically, figuratively the strongest man in the most powerful man in the world. As far as figurative power, you know. Big news.
Okay, but aside from, you know, what actual powers he has and power scaling him, just what does the world government have? Kind of just jumping off Robble's question. Because also Doflamingo also talked about the Ope Ope no Mi with whatever's in Marijois. You can take over the world with that.
That makes sense. That, like what you're saying there, that makes sense. I honestly really have no guesses. I think it might be like I feel like it's better for my sanity just to not guess, because like I kind of want it to be a surprise, and you know, like it's one of those things. I think Oda is clearly like holding out on us for like just to surprise us later. So I think it's better for me, in my opinion, to just go yeah, okay, whatever. I'll just wait for Oda to explain it. But I don't know if you guys have any ideas or like have any clues to point out that might show it might be something we might actually know what it is.
So they have Vegapunk, so their technology is 500 years in the future, so they could be making whatever they want.
The internet,
scary.
The internet
got memes.
Giant death ray. I don't know. They could blow up an entire island from like miles away. Who knows?
Right. That's interesting.
Nukes,
maybe. I don't know.
Nukes, yeah. Nukes could be a thing.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like that'd be kind of like it's a little bit. I don't know. Like nukes, they kind of destroy islands, right? Like nukes they literally actually destroy islands.
Yeah, they're buster calls, right?
Yeah, we know of like not even something like several things that supposedly destroy islands. You could say Whitebeard's devil fruit, when used to its fullest potential, you know, he probably could, or I guess Blackbeard, he could probably destroy an island if he went all out. You could say, you know, Pluton, we know for a fact it can destroy an island. Enel's what's El Thora?
Enel and the Arc Maxim.
Yeah, Enel and the Arc Maxim. You know, together they can destroy islands. And so, like, you know, and nukes in comparison, yes, they are just as powerful, if not more, but they're a little bit more boring because they're real. You know.
Yeah. Oda will make them fun.
Right. Oda will make a fun nuke, you know.
Yeah, no. I mean, I have good expectations. I'm hoping it's not just like something like that, where it's just like a weapon that destroys a lot, big destruction weapon thing. I'm hoping it's like more of like a tying to devil fruits themselves, like maybe, or like because the Opie fruit, like some immortal, like ancient giant Kaido looking guy. Something that they just have chained up or something, or like I don't know, something cool. Because
something cool, you know, something cool.
Maybe all of the red line is like hollow or something, and like inside of the red line is like this worldwide like tunnel full of something. Like I don't know, like there's a whole so many ways you could spin it. And Doflamingo has just confirmed that there is a big secret power down there. It's not just like a big bomb or like a big gun.
I think what could be fun, what could be interesting. Well, I think what I would bet on, or what I would hope to see is like something that's less about like that has destruction less on its forefront, but more actual like horror, or you know, something that's like I don't even know, something that like strikes fear in you more than it really more than it really is about destroy. Like it strikes fear in not just the people but also maybe the reader. You know, something like you guys read Hunter x Hunter, watch Hunter x Hunter, I guess. All right, you guys, yeah, the rose. I don't want to mention
The what?
Oh, the rose. Yeah.
hold on, King Kayzee, are you I mean, in the anime?
Yeah, no, I finished the anime, but I just broke up a bit. So
my bad. All right. Isaac Netero's ability. Isaac Netero's his self-destruct thing.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that, because that was like that's something that like kind of shakes you to your core. You know, I was about to talk about like some manga only stuff in JoJo, but I know Brobble. You know, he's not reading the manga yet. And what about you guys? You guys even watch yet?
Yeah, I'm waiting for part 6.
Yeah, like there are some characters who appear later on who have like some really just like not on top of being, you know, somewhat destructive, like on top of being like really crazy destructive potential, like they're also just terrifying. Like their abilities are just terrifying. You know, something like
I mean, I guess like Blackbeard's power, like the Yami Yami no Mi. Because as far as destruction, Yami Yami no Mi hasn't really shown itself to actually be really destructive. But the shock factor of it, like it nullifies out the devil fruits as well.
Right.
I mean, he did suck in a whole town, but
oh yeah, that's right.
What happens when he awakens these devil fruits? Oh,
right.
Dude, waking conversations are so like
it's a rabbit hole.
You know, it's entirely possible. I have a friend. I've seen some people who think this, but like people will say that maybe Oda comes up with like power ups and stuff kind of on the fly, or that's what these people are positing. Oda comes up with power ups on the fly. Like Gear Second was made up like the chapter before Gear Second appeared, and like in like especially villains, like Arlong wasn't gonna be able to like pull his teeth out and like in stuff like that. Like he wasn't gonna be able to do that until he had to, in order to make the fight more interesting and a little bit longer, you know. And same thing with Doflamingo's awakening devil fruits just weren't going to be a thing until Oda just realized, you know, I should probably make this fight a little bit more difficult, huh? And so basically right. Basically, what this person is saying is like, Oda doesn't really have any plans for awakenings. He just had to pull it out of, you know, his, you know, just real quick, you know, he just had to come up with something to make fights more interesting, and he's gonna expand on it. Like he might mess around and expand on it later, but you know.
I guess your friend forgot about Impel Down.
I mean, I don't think they're that on the fly. I would say I would describe it more as like he kind of has an idea of maybe something that he wants to add to the story. Like in this example, like a kind of power up, and he probably hasn't fully fleshed it out, but he'll throw it into the story anyway. And maybe the first time he throws it into a story, he won't even say what it is. Like you just throw it in, and then later on, once he's gotten a good idea, then he'll mention it. So maybe awakening was something that he already thought about. And maybe he threw it out and it's like, okay, this character has this kind of power, but I'm not really going to say that this is an awakening. It's a full power up in case like this idea flops. I don't want to have like a power that's just hanging on its own. And then like maybe once he got a good idea, then he's like, okay, it's going to be called awakening. And then Doflamingo's going to have it. And then it's already developed.
It's also much more interesting for us as readers to speculate and hypothesize all these like crazy things that come out. And then it makes discussion for his manga keep going and going and going because we're just like waiting for these answers. He's really smart with how he does things.
Exactly. It's a bit similar to Haki. I mean, I'm pretty sure that, who knows, maybe back when, you know, when we saw Shanks in chapter 1 and then when he met Whitebeard, who knows, maybe Oda hasn't fully figured out Haki then. And I think at that time, I mean, by the time, you know, Shanks was meeting Whitebeard, he could have just dropped it then and been like, it's just something special that Shanks has. And everyone would just be like, okay, that's it. Like, no one would think too much. But then he actually took his time. Actually, this is going to work. It's going to work with the whole series and the plot. Okay, let's throw it in. It's Haki. And then give more characters. And then he explained it to us.
That's cool. Like, I saw this. I don't know if you guys watched this channel called Mother's Basement. but like he says that Oda, he doesn't have every single thing planned. He just he's like sort of an illusionist where like he likened him to an illusionist where he makes it seem like everything was planned, even though like maybe not everything was planned, but he always the thing that does make it amazing is that he makes sure to tie everything back together, you know.
Usopp.
Yeah. What about Usopp?
I said that's like Usopp.
Oh yeah, like making his lies come true, you know. But yeah, that's
Well, because he brought up Logia users pretty early on, so he had to think of a way to defeat them. So he probably thought of Haki even back in like what, Alabasta, or like whenever Smoker was introduced. Logtown.
Yeah, maybe Logtown.
Yeah, when
I don't think he had it like in the forefront of his mind though until
He knew he had to think
because,
of something.
Because like the other two most prominent Logias after that were Crocodile and Enel, and Luffy just had to come up with a counter for that, not necessarily.
I'd say that by Enies Lobby, after Enies Lobby, that I think he already knew after Enies Lobby because of
what to do with Haki.
Yeah, like there's this Haki, that this power that can negate Logias. Maybe it wasn't part of Haki, and maybe he was still figuring out how to kind of make the 3 different types. But I think he knew that there's this power you can attain which can help you beat Logias, because after Enies Lobby is when Garp comes and punches Luffy and like it actually hurts. So I think then he knew that there's a power. Maybe he knew it would be Haki, maybe he didn't, but he probably knew that you can attain this power to do it.
It had to be Amazon Lily at the latest, I think.
Definitely,
Right.
I would say like he was laying the framework by Alabasta, and like he didn't really have anything defined until like what Kayzee said about like Enies Lobby. Because like if you think if there was no Haki, like Enel would literally be unbeatable by anybody but Luffy, and like that's when Oda would realize that like I cannot just keep doing this where Luffy finds the exact way to he just happens to be able to do exactly counter this guy. Like he's literally the only person. I mean, maybe actually.
Well, Mantra is brought up in Skypiea, isn't it?
Yeah. Mantra, but like it's not back then it's not tied into Haki. It's just shown as like a mysterious power. So like it's possible that that Mantra was maybe even supposed to be just a thing for just certain
Skypieans.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's probably could have been a trial and error thing too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he wanted people to like realize like that was him like testing the waters. Okay, I cannot let this like Logia thing be like it cannot keep going for too long without a way to counter it. Let me try this thing. If it flops, and it could just be a Skypian exclusive thing, and that'll still make sense to the fans. But that's a pretty strategically a well done move by him.
Honestly, yeah, I agree. I kind of like that. It's a sort of thing that I probably wouldn't have the guts to do. Like I wouldn't have the guts to like kind of pull something that I haven't fully fleshed out onto. I wouldn't want to put something that I haven't fully fleshed out onto the page. I've said this before. I'm a writer. I like to write stories. So,
oh really?
Yeah. Okay. So like I wouldn't put something that I haven't that isn't like fully formed. And so because of that, like sometimes I'll take really long breaks from a story just to figure out exactly what I want from this thing, before I actually write it, But I wouldn't be able to work on something like that on the fly, which is like, it still blows my mind. You guys know that the supernovas, like every single one of the supernovas was supposedly made up on the fly, more or less on the fly, whenever they were introduced. Which is like, that's crazy to me. I could never do such a thing.
Yeah.
Like, not with 11 whole characters. Yeah, not with 11 whole characters, and not like each one of them having different powers, each one of them having like a very distinct design, each one of them, like I could make a character on the fly, and I could give them maybe a pretty cool ability, but like, I feel like not quite on the same level that the supernovas seem to already have been on. Like it's not. I don't think Law's backstory was created on the same day that he created the supernovas, right? I think Law's backstory just kind of came to him, as time went on. But I wouldn't be able to do stuff like that, like stuff like where like I would have to bring up a character later. Like I am kind of getting into that, like not necessarily, but like there is a story that I'm actually doing It might be. I don't want to. I'm not sure if I should tease anything just yet, but like I think I might actually be able to get it like sort of published, maybe as like a web comic or webtoon or something. So like I'll give more information about that later, like much later. But there was this character that I brought up kind of in the first chapter who was just supposed to be like who was just kind of supposed to be a one-off. But I decided to like tie him in a little bit more, but he's still relatively minor. Like he's just he just happened like he'll eventually just be eventually just be revealed to be like the husband of this other major character, So and that'll be how that will be, But anyway, back to the world government.
Back to the Gorosei, actually. So, what do you guys think Shanks was talking about?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that.
A certain pirate. Yeah.
A certain pirate.
Well, first we got to back up. Like, why do they trust Shanks?
That's a hard thing to.
Right.
Do we think Shanks will betray Luffy?
It's crossed my mind. I'll say that. But...
Yeah. People are like pretty hard into that. There are a few people who are just really hard into that camp.
I would love it, but I would hate it. I don't know.
I know. It would feel so bad.
Yeah, right.
It would feel so bad, but I'd be like, that's the greatest twist ever.
No, I don't know. I don't think that would happen. On some level, it doesn't completely make sense to me because Shanks is kind of like the one who inspired Luffy to become this person. Right. So unless Shanks is that guy who wants to inspire his greatest rival so that he can build his rival up just to tear him down, then I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. If you wanted Luffy to be evil, just inspire him to be evil. Why inspire him to be good and then be the evil guy?
Yeah,
this is not Megamind.
What if it's like a Severus?
Oh yeah, like Megamind. Yeah.
Maybe Shanks isn't evil, but maybe he has his own goals and he's using Luffy for those goals. And Shanks knows Luffy's a D, and we have no idea if Shanks is a D or anything. So maybe he wants to take down the world government or something. But this is all crazy stuff.
Oh yeah. You know what? We could talk a lot about Shanks, at length in the next episode.
I think there is a lot of like discussion regarding this one as to where like how like why does he have, because the way I see it, I don't think he's like evil or he's like an emissary for the government. I think he just has so much clout and respect from literally everybody. Like I bet he could walk up to the revolutionaries as well. But, like why in particular? Like if he has something to tell the world government, he's definitely trying to like inspire them to act in a way rather than like inspire rather than like be on their side. You know what I mean?
I think whatever Shanks was talking to them about, it was definitely something dire,
I think that it just goes to show the kind of respect the world government has for the Yonko, where it's like, as much as they are pirates, these are also kind of governments in their own, essentially. Yeah. Where it's like they run their own territories. They have essentially their own countries with influences in other countries as well, and all that kind of thing. And essentially you have one king of his own government coming to talk to you. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, in order to like, let's hear him out, right? Let's hear him out. Because I'm sure if like another king went to another kingdom, it's like, okay, let's not just blow him up immediately. Let's actually hear what he says, unless we're at war.
Oh, that's an interesting thing. The emperors, they're not really necessarily at war with the world government. They're just, I don't even know what kind of, like, what kind of equivalency, like, would you make that? Like, you could say, I don't even know. Like, you could say, prior to World War II, you could say that, Nazi Germany prior to World War II and America were like in a similar sort of situation that the world government in Yonko are. Maybe that's a stretch. I don't know. That's kind of a stretch. But like, they're definitely like in a lot of ways they're definitely like opposed to one another. They would be opposed to one another, but they're not like actively going against each other. Maybe that's what that is.
Yeah. I think that's definitely what it feels like.
But I feel like Blackbeard's gonna just cause all this chaos and go right after the world government, and that's probably what Shanks is warning them about.
About Blackbeard. Yeah, that's that's what a lot of people are saying.
And that you better make your move now, or he could probably take you down.
Oh, you know what would be crazy? Okay, here's a crazy off the dome theory. So the world government is getting a little brash with their or not brash. That's not the idea I'm thinking of, but like they're getting a little bit more. They're feeling a little bit more self-reliant, definitely with their getting rid of the seven warlords. With their they're ending the seven warlord system. What if they actually ended up arresting all the warlords successfully? And it was actually and they used and it was actually so successful. Maybe it was with the help of the SSDs or whatever that is, right? And what if it was just so successful that the world government was like, you know what, screw it, let's go for the emperors next.
Yeah,
wouldn't that be interesting?
Well, yeah, especially because Luffy's fighting two of them right now, so if they're weak in a sense, it'd be the perfect time to strike against them.
Right.
Exactly. They might see the vulnerability.
And CP Zero's on Wano, so they could easily just tell the world government to come while they're fighting.
Mm-hmm.
I think that apart from Wano, seeing the next big thing happening is Blackbeard versus the world government, because Blackbeard, of course, Blackbeard's going somewhere. Because he's if the Marines are going to take it, we might as well go and put our hands on it anyway. So he's going somewhere. And actually, when you think about the whole thing that happened between Shanks and the world government before, and just looking at it where Shanks went to Whitebeard and he's watch out for Blackbeard, and Whitebeard's just it's too soon. It's too many years too soon for you to give me advice, right? And Whitebeard's just going to ignore you. But then it seems that it could be this time Shanks has come to warn people about Blackbeard again, and then now they'll take it seriously. So, okay, so the first time Shanks warned people about Blackbeard, no one listened. Now they will. Because again, there's still a question of why is it that in the next chapter, after Shanks talked to them, they start talking about a great cleansing.
Right.
True.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think it's clear whoever Shanks was talking about with them is the target of this cleanse, for whoever it is, right? I think that makes sense. So whoever that is, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like Blackbeard and Luffy are just too obvious at the same time. So
also, what if he was let's entertain the idea that he was talking to Luffy. What would he be saying? What exactly would Shanks be saying about Luffy to the Gorosei?
I'm gonna meet up with him after this. Gonna go by Wendy's.
I don't know. Why would Shanks need to say that? Why wouldn't Shanks need to say that to them?
I don't know. I don't know. I just always assumed it was Blackbeard, never Luffy.
That's why I don't think it's Luffy. Because what would he say about him?
Right.
I guess that's the main piece of evidence you could.
It would just be the D. It would just be the D clan. That's pretty much it.
People just want One Piece to be dark, and that's the whole reason that theory came out. That's just honestly, if you ask me, that's just not how One Piece is.
It's just not
people out of nowhere.
Right.
I could think about it there's only one way which would make sense for me as to why Shanks would be talking about Luffy, and this is not One Piece being dark with Shanks being evil and all that, where it could be that, you know what, Shanks, this is not the first time Shanks has talked to the Gorosei before, They've probably talked maybe a couple of times. Not frequently, but a couple of times before they've had conversations. And then maybe now Shanks is just you know what, we had our alliance in order to kind of, keep the balance of the world. That's why last time we talked, I went, and from that conversation, I went to stop Kaido from coming to Marineford because that would have been too much. And so now I'm actually coming to you to tell you about Luffy and how Luffy's going to change the world, bring the dawn. And guys, it's been nice, but our little alliance here on the side, that's done. And then now the world government is angry with Shanks, and now they want a great cleansing.
That's savage. I like that theory.
Just resigns, just gives his resignation.
Well, yeah, even though it's not really resignation because they were never actually officially aligned. They were just talking.
Okay, so that's more of a breakup.
Yeah,
exactly. I think the only one the only breakup in One Piece that can top that is Nami and Zeus. But
yeah.
Of heartbreaking.
But yeah, that's pretty savage. One thing I think that's interesting is like, do you think we'll be introduced to like more cipher pole agents?
What do you mean? Like from CP0 or just the other ones?
Cipher pole in general. Just cipher pole in general.
I don't think so.
Do we think we're gonna get a rematch with Lucci?
Probably. It's hard to say.
It's really hard to say.
Like Luffy versus Lucci, I feel like
Luffy would destroy him.
Yeah.
He doesn't stand
like
a chance.
assuming Lucci hasn't grown since the time skip.
I'm just saying,
sure
would
he
Luffy
has,
actually
but, like-
destroy Lucci? Because Lucci has been a beast since he was a child. He's been an absolute monster. And then, I mean, he got humiliated by Luffy, and then he went back into hiding and training, and now he's come back. So, I mean, if Luffy is much stronger than Lucci, I mean, it's kind of like, okay, we expected it, but I'm not gonna discount the possibility that Lucci is also a beast now.
I made a whole
Or
video
even more so.
about all the like the main four like Grand Line antagonists as Crocodile, Enel, Lucci, and Moria, and like what they're gonna do, like because they're all still gonna have relevant to the story later on. They're all coming back somehow. I don't remember what my take on Lucci was, but I remember I definitely don't have him fighting. I don't have any of them ever fighting Luffy again. I could definitely see him like taking part in like Final War, and maybe even like seeing Luffy in the distance and like wanting to fight him but not being able to fight him.
Yeah.
Because that fits his arc better, where like he's been training, he's like, oh man, I'm so like I got crushed and I've never lost ever. So now I'm gonna train, and he learned hockey, he got all strong, and like but like still he's not enough. It could be a cool moment where he sees that he's not even like able to like Luffy. I wish I could remember what I said because it's so much better than that.
How do you forget your
Just link Brobble's video, yeah. But I think the Stampede movie had a kind of great representation where it's kind of like Lucci's doing his own thing on the side with the government. Because I also think that for Lucci as well, as much as it's like annoying and frustrating, embarrassing, whatever that Luffy beat him, I think he's been shown to be like very dedicated to the government and what it means. What was I forgot the word he used. Was it justice that he used? Yeah, like
Dark justice.
Dark justice. There we go. He's been very dedicated to that. So I think that even if he ever comes back and he's still not nearly as strong as Luffy, I don't think it will bother him as much as long as he can, carry out the justice. Because I think that's all he really cares about. That can you carry out justice or not?
Yeah. Interesting.
But as far as other cipher poles and stuff like that, I don't think we'll really see any, because I guess in Annie's lobby, all the guys who are like basically in black suits were just mentioned to be cipher poles, so cipher pole agents. And then every once in a while we hear cipher pole 7 or something like cipher pole from a different number, but they never really mentioned to be special at all. So my guess is that's what we'll continue seeing in the rest of the series, where it's like they'll just mention that cipher pole did this or that, but no important characters will come from it.
Yeah, I'm with you. Because I felt like maybe if Lucci was more prevalent, then we could see more cipher pole agents. But if he's not, it's not going to really matter that much.
Another thing is like, so yeah, what about this future of CP0? Do you think we'll get like, you guys seen the Return to Reverie thing?
Yes, that's actually why I was late. I had to go and finish that.
Oh, nice. So, they sort of posited or whatever that like all the CP0 will just be like all the CP9 all the CP9 they just got promoted. I don't really agree with that idea, because for one, like they lost against Luffy in the group. So like what exactly did they do to get promoted? I think that's why I also think that it's very possible that Lucci got stronger because he got promoted,
Isn't there a cover stories about CP9 and like they're off doing their own things like Khalifa and
yeah, but they're just going off in like bowling and stuff, right? I don't remember anything super important.
They train.
Oh, really?
That's okay, well, favorite card, I think. But the only ones that we know that are in CP Aegis Zero,
Zero are Luffy, Kaku, and what's the name? The massive dude, Spondum. Honestly, in my opinion, it's just more interesting to get new characters,
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
with you on that.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Honestly, I thought that Kumadori was pretty lame. Bluno was cool, but like I don't know, like
I liked Kumadori. I think, especially the way he spoke with the way he spoke and the hand movements, he was really funny. I mean, I didn't really take him too seriously. I guess that's why I liked him. But, another reason why I think that we get new CP0 agents is that just because like CP0 existed before CP9, so
right.
there were people in there, and like if you're saying CP9 is the only people, then where did those people go to?
Right.
So I'm assuming.
Also, you got the Zipper dude. I don't like him at all. Well, yeah, he's funny. He's funny or whatever. Him and Kumadori, they're funny, but they're not like threatening or anything.
They would like their emotions.
Like CP0, they give off the vibe of like only of this threatening, ominous energy, and so like it's kind of it's a little bit difficult to believe that they'd be like that CP0 that in CP0 like there's just a bunch of goofy characters like they can only afford to have a few goofy characters in CP0 because maybe that's just my headcanon being my headcanon, but I think CP0 can only afford to have a few goofy characters, and I think that Spondum kind of takes that
spot.
Takes that role,
I think there could still be. I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's One Piece. There's still going to be pre-existing like goofy characters, but I also hope that like I'm hoping Lucci isn't even like the leader of CP0, and that I actually disagree with what you said earlier. I mean, I'm sure we'll get like Viva cards maybe of like leaders, like showing leaders or cipher pulls, but like I think in the main story we're gonna see like a title card like blah 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 leader of CP0, and then he has like this assistant that has like I don't know like some weird Oda looking design, So I mean I
could see that.
I could see maybe not the leader of CP0 being goofy, but maybe the assistant kind of being a bit goofy. Kind of like how when Smoko was introduced, we had Tashigi who just kept falling and without her glasses, she can't really see anything, talking to the wrong people. So something like that, where the leader is like the real deal, but then maybe like the number 2 is just kind of all over the place.
Yeah, I could see that. That makes sense. You got a similar thing with Inel, and you had some of his vassals are like really
the priests,
pretty threatening. Yeah, pretty threatening. But you also got the ball guy, and his thing is balls.
Yeah, because 2 of them were Satori. There we go. Was like pretty annoying, and the other guy with, I think he had like, I don't know what his name was, with like spider hair or something, like where his hair was sticking out.
Like he was so dumb and stupid that he would forget how to talk and like forget how to breathe.
And open his mouth.
And then look straight.
Yeah. And stuff like that. I think. So I think you can only afford to have like a certain few characters. I think one thing that I could like one thing that's kind of a thing I could criticize about Dressrosa is that I feel like there were too many goofy characters under Doflamingo. I have this friend who like he's really critical of Doflamingo because like I don't know, for some reason he had these like super high hopes of Dofi, and he thought that like for some reason he thought it would be way cooler and like it would fit his motif more if like he didn't actually have a crew, but he was just the boss of a bunch of different crews. I guess sort of like a Yonko, I guess, but like maybe that's why he didn't do it because it was too similar. But I think Oda could have done it if he wanted to, but I guess maybe it doesn't give the side characters one-on-one fights, or it doesn't make them any very interesting. No,
I kind of get that. I mean, I don't want to jump too much into this tangent, but I kind of get what he means, whoever your friend is. But with kind of Doflamingo being, because that's kind of like the vibes I got from him at first. Like he's this lone wolf who just does what he wants throughout the pre-time skip when we saw him. So like I think it would have made sense. Maybe not, and it wouldn't really be like a Yonko, I guess. It's kind of like if Mihawk just had a whole bunch of crews under him. So it's not really like they're one crew, but they just listen to Mihawk because Mihawk.
Yeah, that's what I would like. And like when he brought it up, I was like, dang, now I'm disappointed.
Hey, I love Loud G.
Oh man, and like that's the thing. Like there aren't like pretty much all the Don Quixote family, they felt like joke characters.
Yeah.
Like Laoji, Baby Five, the guy with the propeller, the guy who could like blow his like head up. He had a pretty cool design.
Gladius? I think it's
Yeah.
Gladius.
Except he's also
Gladius,
somehow
yeah.
at the same time the most forgettable out of all of them.
That's true.
Yeah, weirdly enough, because sometimes I forget who he is, But and then there was also what's his name? The little he was like Fishman. He's like
Dillinger.
Yes.
Dillinger. He was an interesting looking character to me, I guess. Like I guess Oda would I guess I wasn't really expecting Oda to do like a sort of I don't know, a character like him, I guess. I don't know how to describe it, but
androgynous kind of.
Yeah, it's sort of a very androgynous character like him, But anyway, back to what we were saying about what were we saying?
CP0.
Who knows?
World Cup stuff.
Okay.
I always thought Rob Lucci was in charge of CP0. Am I wrong?
I don't know if that's confirmed.
No,
Yeah.
I think it's just been confirmed that he joined, nothing else.
Okay. And I think he has a higher rank than Spondum. I think
Spandam only got in because his dad has the connections.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't think Tekking made a video about CP0 a while ago, and his headcanon is something I personally agree is like the only way Rob Lucci would join back, because like Rob Lucci all left the world government, but they were like, no, you're a valuable asset. Join CP0, you get more benefits. And Tekking says he'll be like, okay, but you have to make Spondum my secretary or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
Pulling him around.
Yeah. So yeah, that's an interesting idea. What other thing that's interesting about the world government?
Oh, we forgot one returning member from CP9 that joined CP0. Funkfried, the elephant sword.
Oh, yes.
And Hattori. They're both in it.
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
There.
Yeah, I was about to get really sad because Funkfried. I don't know why. I just really like I just really like the idea of Funkfried. But yeah, I would like an elephant sword.
Another Sajiro Wazamono.
Maybe that would actually be really funny if he was actually like a really powerful blade, but it was just in the hands of like a really weak person.
That'd be great. That would be funny.
This has literally been an episode full of tangents. It's kind of unavoidable. Such a like.
Yeah, it's a more vague topic. I think I actually like the fact that we could do an episode like this with less restrictions, less structure, and like we can just talk about whatever, or as long as there is a little bit. It ties back a little bit. I wasn't intending to talk about just the Gorosei.
I guess we can talk about like where do we think the world government's going to go at the end, and like who's going to take over, what's going to happen, end of the series, or like going towards the end of the series.
One thing I think we should bring up first is the Revolutionary Army. Especially since they're currently making a move on. They're currently preparing to make a move on. Or I guess now they have already. It's kind of already went down, right? So, like, what exactly happened? What exactly is next for? Yeah, I don't think we can talk about what's next for the world government unless we talk about what's next for the revolutionaries first.
So, do you think Sabo was captured? I don't know. I keep going back and forth.
Really hope not, dude. I did not want another save the brother.
I think there's a couple of different ways to take it. I think we could just have it's going to be Marineford 2. Like sometimes I'll like meme on like Reddit and stuff, in like 4chan and stuff, or I used to. I guess I don't really do it anymore, but I used to like meme about the fact that oh yeah, we're getting Marineford 2. I'm so excited, like I'm like really hyped about the fact that we're just getting a rehash of a previous arc. And and so like just to troll people, I guess, and but like that's just one way to take it. Another way to take it is maybe it'll be sort of something like that, but the way it'll turn out is it'll be a success. Luffy will actually be able to save him or something like that, and it'll show how much like something will happen in which like we get to see how much he's grown. You know, that'd be really nice and like get a really nice feeling happening in your stomach, right? But you could also just say like maybe he. Here's an even crazier thing. Maybe he did get captured, and like Luffy's like, in like once he reads it in the paper or whatever, like he gets all like PTSD ish and stuff like that. And that would be tough. But no, I think Luffy's past all the trauma. I think that's the point at the time.
I think at that point, Luffy's just like, you know what? I'll eat the Mary myself. These guys can't handle it. But what I was going to say about it is that, I mean, instead of having Marineford 2.0, we could maybe still have Sabo captured or in a position where it's not really like Sabo's going to be publicly executed or something like that, but the whole capture of Sabo leads to the kind of all-out war between the world government and the revolutionaries kind of thing. And maybe that's where the story goes. But apart from that, I think it's also a bit interesting, the whole goal of the Revolutionary Army, because they mentioned that it's about the celestial dragons and taking them out of power more than it is about destroying the whole government and everything that goes on and then just, you know, leaving it there. But I think that the most interesting part about that is that, okay, yeah, we're removing celestial dragons. These guys were like, you know, terrible people anyway, but how do you do that? I mean, I figured that if it was just as easy as doing that, I mean, you can just, it seems that almost anyone can sneak into Marie-Joie. It's not that hard. So why don't you just go and assassinate them, go home, call it a day?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, for one thing, the admirals are like the personal, they personally have to show up if a celestial dragon asks for it. So like, but you can still just be extra sneaky, you know, just make sure you're extra sneaky out of them.
Yeah, no, like that makes sense, right? Because when Luffy punched them in Sabaody, but then when you think about it, right? I mean, if you go and if they went, like when they were still in Baltigo, when their headquarters were still there, they went, assassinated like all of them, maybe just leave the Gorosei and Im, leave those guys, but all the kind of useless ones essentially, assassinate all of them, that whole living area, and then go back to Baltigo. Where is the government going to attack?
Maybe there's something about the Celestial Dragon. Maybe there's something about them that are like, there's something about them that like it goes deeper than just the fact that they're the sons and daughters of I guess they're the descendants of the 20 countries founders. But maybe they go deeper than maybe something about them goes deeper than that. You know, it's hard to really say what that would be, but maybe there's something about them that makes them important to be alive and be in to be in good health or something. I don't know. It's interesting.
They're not in good health.
Something that maybe maybe the revolutionaries don't know. Maybe something that nobody really knows. Maybe something only the Gorosei and or Im know about. You know, something about them that like makes it important for them to you know stick around. You know, like because it seems like you know they don't really have a hand in really anything. The Celestial Dragons, they're completely useless. They don't really have a hand in any like actual important decisions. They just make they just buy, you know, human options. Like they just participate in like evil things. Like it's just like stuff that are just morally bad. That's all they do, just for the sake of their own comfort. You know, they just they step on other people. You know, that's all they seem to do. But I feel like there could be something to them, something about them that's like
I feel like
makes it important for them to do what they do. You know,
there's something that happened during the Void Century that makes them so important. They might, but they could also just be figureheads and they're just being used to like consolidate power. But I'm thinking there must be something during the Void Century to make these 20 countries so special. So I'm hoping.
You think about Doflamingo's like Marineford speech, where basically, just in summary, he says, "Whoever wins this war is justice." Right?
Yeah.
The world government won that war a long time ago, and it's the same.
So they are justice. Yeah.
So they are literally what's right in the world, and they're not actually right, but since they are the unquestionable power in the world, that they can't be touched. So I see it more as just like technically yes, you could pretty simply just go and kill them all. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's a thing that's been developed by the world. We're like, you can't really do it just because they are what's right. And I think the society of just the whole world of One Piece is like,
and we throw everything into chaos again.
yeah.
Here's a crazy, just off the dome theory. What if I don't know. Here's a crazy off the dome theory. Really, really extremely crazy off the dome theory. What if there's like something in the celestial dragons, like their souls or something within the souls of the original world government's founders and within the celestial dragons, there's something within their souls or something that like literally holds the world together, like in a literal sense. So like if you were to kill a celestial dragon, you are like really actually like I don't know, like thunder would clap in the sky and like the weather would change and like hurricanes everywhere, something like, I don't know. I mean, there's your tinfoil hat theory.
I mean, I would really like to jump on that. The only issue I have is like, where was all that thunder and world destruction when Doflamingo's parents died?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't know the whole like thing around it because they were cast out. Maybe they didn't, whatever spell Eam had on them that made them with like the OP powers that Eam has, or whatever headcanon you want to use to justify whatever it is. They could have just undone it because like the whole celestial dragons, like they were so clouded.
All right.
You're wrong. You're wrong.
Here's one thing I'm just imagining. All right, here's a crazy idea I'm just thinking of. All right, so like you guys seen Avatar? Like as soon as like they decided to leave, Marie Joie and live amongst the people, like he took them or something like that. He did like a kind of Avatar.
Took their bending away.
Yeah, he took their bending, like he took whatever like their world holding soul or whatever, he took that away from them. So now they're just regular people. And so like if they were to get hurt or die, then the world will be fine.
All right.
Those are some crazy theories.
Of course, this is the moment for crazy theories, right? I mean, on our channels, we have to do proper theories or else people don't follow you. Now you can just go wild.
Yeah, right. Here you can just go wild. And then you can kind of like whittle these theories down into like actual good ones later, you know.
Personally, I think Sabo wasn't captured, and they're just saying that he was to like get the world, not the world government, the revolutionaries to come after him,
show their hand, maybe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what exactly did happen to Sabo? Do you think?
I think he got Vivi, and I think they got out.
Mm. So where's he at now?
Probably still in Maryswell, just like hiding it out. And they're like trying to get onto a ship and get out of there, like try to get to Sabaody. But I don't know.
I mean, they probably maybe went to the Goa Kingdom with Stelly. Stelly just didn't know.
They do, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, back at Makino's bar.
That'd be nice.
But
that'd be nice.
I think
go see Dodon.
I think an interesting twist would be kind of like, you know how we've seen that a lot of things that people read in the world is just big news Morgans, right? He runs like the whole like the news coup. But I think an interesting take would be if the world government used that to their advantage and like somehow kind of fed him fake news. And so basically what he's printed, exactly what people are reading in the paper, some of it is true, but some of it, like the details are fake, right? So some of the headlines maybe are fake. It's just fabricated so that, you know, the world government can force the revolutionaries out of hiding.
But how would he do it though? Like he seems to have like after that one chapter where like a Cypher Pole member came in like threatened him to not like so that he could not like put the real news on the paper. Like that gives me the idea that like Morgan's not only does he got hands, right? Not only can he throw hands, but like he also like has a lot of control and this power that figurative power that can remain unchecked because of how good he is at
No, I think that's the whole point, right? That I think and that seems something like Sephiroth would do, manipulate the new big news Morgan so that he thinks he's doing it of his own accord, but really he's being played.
Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting.
That's something you could find out that okay, Cypherpole is behind this the whole time, right? And Cypherpole is good at infiltration and everything. So you just find out whoever Big News is using as a source, and I don't know, maybe you talk about fake stuff that happened near them, and like, okay, this is a big scoop, right? Got to report to Morgan's. Morgan's like, we're gonna print this. You even threaten him. Morgan's thinks, okay, now it definitely needs to be printed, and then they print it.
Oh yeah, maybe okay, here's an idea. Maybe just everybody was misled, or like, because I mean he wasn't. For some reason I'm thinking like Morgan was like at the reverie or whatever, but maybe he wasn't. He wasn't, right? But it would make sense if he was, but he wasn't, right? But
I mean, maybe one of his birds were.
I don't think he was.
Because he was at Whole Cake, and Whole Cake was happening during the reverie, right? So anyway,
no, I think Whole Cake happened between. No, reverie happened between Whole Cake and Thingy.
Okay, never mind.
It's going on as Wano's going up, or like it's going on like when Wano started, I think.
No, yeah, the reverie started like the day they got to Wano or something like that, or like one of the days leading up to Wano because they were reading about it in the paper on the way to Wano.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that definitely that solidly puts like a place in the timeline. But anyway, I guess like maybe something happens in like whatever happened with Sabo and Vivi or whatever in like whomever else. Like maybe maybe nobody really knows what happened. Like maybe some of the people there aren't exactly clear. Maybe whatever it was, like it caused so much confusion that nobody really knows what happened. And then there is somebody who worked with the World Economic Journal who may or may not have been a Cypherpole member. Maybe this person is also just confused and misled, but maybe they like don't really know. And so like they're being told, and so like they go to Morgan's and they're like, oh, this crazy thing happened when that crazy thing may not necessarily have happened, and then Morgan's prints it. And then Cypherpole knowing that whatever it is false, whether that be because the source is in Cypherpole or because they knew like the person is mistaken, or they knew the source is mistaken. Like for whichever reason, they go up there and sort of reverse psychology, encourage Morgan to post the paper, and then it gets published, but it's not actually, whatever happens is not actually true, and maybe because of that they say that Sabo's dead or something like that.
Okay, I think I got it. The perfect way in which it all makes sense. And like, everything we've been saying, how they kind of manipulated Morgan's, and it went down just like it went down in Marineford, a bit similar. Because remember how in Marineford, they were first recording everything with the Den Mushis and then projecting it around the world. Stuff like that happened. Then at some point, they're like, shut it down. And they shut all of the things down. And then Buggy came and like he turned one on because he wanted to, he wanted to do his own show thing mid-war. And then, so what I was thinking is like, what could have happened is that Big News and Morgans didn't have anyone in Marijua. Everyone was down there, at the Red Port, wanting to talk to people, take pictures. And then maybe all this confusion happens. People are unclear about what's going on, like Smizzle said. And then all of a sudden, Wapo picks up addendum where she is like, oh, I need to get out of here, call for help. And then he turns it on. It's like, oh, someone come help me. I don't know what's happening. And then he spills some details which are like completely a bit off and a bit confused. And then everyone down there at the Red Port's like, oh my goodness, big news. This just happened at the Reverie. And then Big News Morgan's like, okay, let's print this.
All right. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah. All right.
I like that.
Okay, so I guess as a next topic, I mean, it will probably be short, but I wanted to just go through the whole kind of like the world government, the whole thing with the poneglyphs, Basako Onohara, just that kind of side of the government. Because one thing which has always interested me about the government and the whole people figuring out the history and learning about the history is that the government has this strict rule. Like we've seen with O'Hara, like you're gonna die if it attempts to study the world history. And what is one question which comes to me, right? This is on my list of questions. I'll probably make a video about this. This was like what I'm going to ask was on my list of questions. The question about like a black beard injuring a Logia was on my list of questions. But why is it that as much as the government is against people finding out the history of the world, Why do they never just like say, okay, guys, now we're gonna have an operation where CP's Cypherpol agents, we're gonna like collect the poneglyphs, because if there's no poneglyphs, no one can study them.
That's interesting.
But it seems that they just leave the poneglyphs, because I'm saying that, okay, you can't destroy them, but why not just collect them?
And they must know about them, right?
Sorry?
They don't want attention drawn to them.
Yeah, like each individual poneglyph, one, it can't really be read by anybody besides like, you know, maybe Odin.
The scholars, and the scholars, and they got rid of the scholars, so yeah.
I mean, like, I think like they don't serve any purpose.
Yeah,
they don't need to because no one can read them.
I mean, but for me, it's like, if the scholars could have gone how many years until they figured it out? Like, around the world, how many countries are not associated with the world government who could study this as well? I mean, maybe they might be discouraged because of what happened to O'Hara, but just the possibility that there could be other people who want to study this. So that's why I'm just like, why don't you just take them? You know, put them in Marie-Joie, like, just keep them there, and life is much easier.
That would actually make sense if they work. Like, I think there could actually just be poneglyphs in Marie-Joie. But
or maybe that's where the last road poneglyph is. That's why when we have Marineford 2, Luffy's going to get a rubbing of the last one.
Maybe.
And, like, I think there's also a good chance that they don't know the location of a lot of them. It's like, I mean, I feel like they don't know. Most people, I'd argue, like, pretty much everybody in the world, besides a very select few, we're talking like less than like 200 like people in the One Piece world know that there's a poneglyph on Zou, right? Like, I don't think a lot of people know about that one. So they just kind of super lucky to find out. And it's even harder to find that because no one knows where Zou is unless they're from Zou or like have a fever card to someone from Zou. So like, I bet there's lots of situations like that where they don't know where the poneglyph is. And so, like, maybe they could be trying to do and take them to Marie-Joie, and we could see that there are a lot in Marie-Joie. But, like, I mean, they still have to hunt and find each one because there's hundreds upon. I mean, I don't know if we have a confirmed number of how many there are, but there's a ton of them.
Actually, I feel like
there is a now. I think there was like 20 or something. I don't know. I feel like that's a number that was mentioned, or maybe there's 20 of a certain type. But I mean, I understand what you're saying, but like at the same time, it's like the ones that we know of. It's kind of like ancient weapons, right? The world government wasn't really hunting for ancient weapons, but then when they mentioned that one of them, the blueprints for Pluton, were on Watcher 7, then they did something. So it's kind of like, okay, we don't know where the poneglyphs are, but if we ever hear that there's a poneglyph on this island, let's go get it.
Right.
But also, I guess, like, also for me, it's like, I mean, maybe not a lot of people know that they are, but I think in the entire world, of any group of people, the people with the best information networks are probably Big Mom in the world government.
All right. Here's my idea about why they don't look for the poneglyphs. Here's just an idea. Like, maybe they just don't know where they are, and they feel like maybe it'll be a little bit of a waste of time and resources to like actively search for them. Or maybe there is a division of the world government, like a small division that goes and searches for them, but they're not very prominent and they're not very successful. Like, so maybe and, you know, we know, like, I was thinking for whatever reason, my mindset was on the idea that, like, the world government knows the world government is, like, the people who made the poneglyphs, but that's definitely not true. It was the Ancient Kingdom, and we don't know what the Ancient Kingdom is. And maybe the Ancient Kingdom, they're the ones, you know, they're probably the ones that hid the poneglyphs. And so they probably hid them all around the world, and, you know, I guess like they never told anybody. Like they never told, you know, they wouldn't tell the 20 kings, right? They wouldn't tell the 20 kingdoms where the poneglyphs were, because, you know, the implication is that the 20 kings and the 20 kings or 20 kingdoms or whatever in the Ancient Kingdom, they are you know, they went to war, and, you know, the Ancient Kingdom lost.
I mean, we probably won't come to a definite, like, logical answer, but I think that the world government is, like, on at least on this level, even if they tried and they just couldn't find any, that would make them the most, like, competent people, even more than the Big Mom pirates, right? Because they've been around for 800 years. You're telling me you can't find even half of these in 800 years when you are the world government? Also, it's like, I mean, I don't know how long it's been, but how many YouTubers have figured out that a lot of the poneglyphs seem to be on islands that were not associated with the world government, right? So places like Alabasta that, you know, decided to leave, Zoe, and all these where other kind of humans, well, races come from. So, I mean, in 800 years, you couldn't figure that out. But like I said, we probably won't come to an answer that completely makes sense. But it's just an interesting thought that I had. Like, these people never attempt to, like, put that out of the way. Because just imagine how many kind of nuisances you would stop with being able to do that.
Maybe, you know, since they had eliminated the ancient kingdom, and, you know, since I guess the idea is that, like, since they eliminated the ancient kingdom, there wasn't anybody who could read the poneglyph language.
But that was made by, like, the Kozukis, and they were still in Wano.
Never mind. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, sorry. This is my point. Like, there's too many things that just say, like, it should be obvious to do this, but they don't.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a pretty rare example of a One Piece plot hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a pretty big one. That kind of, yeah.
It's not necessarily a plot
Waddles.
hole. It's just like a more...
Waddles, I just haven't heard you speak in a while. Do you have anything to say at all?
In regards to this conversation, I just personally, I just feel like probably not enough people speak the language, and also the poneglyphs are freaking huge. Like, how easy is it to just pick one of those things up and carry it where you need to, you know, back to where you're going? So maybe to me, it just feels like they probably felt it wasn't worth the effort, considering not many people can read them anyway, and they don't know where they're at, and transporting them is probably not easy.
Yeah, imagine getting one from Skypea.
Right.
Now that I think about it, like, we've never seen the poneglyphs being moved before.
Didn't Big Mom move one?
Yeah, we know she has moved one. We know she has one. We know that people have been able to take them.
Yeah.
The process in which they are taken. So, like, maybe they're extremely dense, and they're even heavier than they look, and they're like I don't even know. They're like 1 billion pounds or something like that. And
I mean, I don't know about 1 billion pounds, but
that's just a random number I threw out. But, like,
Big Mom could deadlift that.
she could bench press that.
Or maybe. But, you know,
but I don't know. I feel like it may not be as hard, but it could be hard because one was taken from Fishman Island. So apart from the surface, where does that go?
Yeah. I mean, like, maybe it is possible for them to be moved, but it's a very difficult thing.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that as well.
Big Mom could have made it into a homie, right?
I mean, this goes back to my question of why the homies don't speak to her as poneglyphs, but
Because that's the thing
Yeah.
of, like, they speak an ancient language.
Yeah, we
But it
mentioned
could
that in one
If you need
episode.
a homie, could at least move, right? Like, that's
Yeah,
probably how they
that's
did
true.
that. Yeah, I bet there's lots of devil fruit situations where they use their fruit abilities to move the poneglyphs, but they definitely cannot be moved by conventional means.
Yeah.
Would be my guess.
Yeah.
Here's, like, I kind of like the idea of there is some kind of specialized machine or machination or something, some kind of creation, some sort of man-made creation that, like, some sort of ancient man-made creation that is more or less just a dolly for the poneglyphs, but it's a dolly that only works for the poneglyphs or something like that. I don't know. That sounds a little bit like something Oda might do.
That sounds like something Oda would do for sure.
yeah.
I see that.
But yeah, that's so, like, and for whatever reason, maybe the instructions for how to make the dolly are on a poneglyph, and so in order to know how to make it, you just have to, like, you have to be able to read the language, and in order to read the language, you have to be, you have to be from Wano, or that's right. But anyway,
Kaido hit
Yeah,
Aruj 100 times with 100 Thunder Bagwas. Would Aruj be able to get strong enough to lift a poneglyph?
The physics of it. This is One Piece physics. I think you need to be from Ohara to be able to do that one. You need to be from Ohara to do that one. Sorry, but I think one last thing. I don't know. I feel like after this, I'll leave the conversation to you guys to direct. But one last thing that I also wanted to mention, that this is the world government we're talking about, right? So like the entire world that they encompass. But what kind of relationship does the world government, if at any, have with the sky people? Because I'm pretty sure that they know that the sky people exist, and they know that there's like easy ways apparently to get to the sky islands. And sky people, I'm guessing like Uruj is not the first sky person to come down to the blue sea. You know, even Uruj came as a pirate as well. So what, because on the other hand, with Odin, we saw that because of Odin and because of people like Ryuma, they're like, okay, watch out for for people from Wano and kind of stuff like that. But we've never really heard of any interaction between the world government and the sky people. Do they just not care about the sky people? Do they?
I want to say it could just be that, you know, they just don't care.
I think it's that because like they have this, they would want to rule over them, and the sky people are pretty autonomous, even like among each other. Like Skypea and then like Burka are like separate entities, you know.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like we could get something like that if we ever get like a voice century flashback. We could get like a thing where where for some reason like maybe one of the 20 kings, they go up to like one of the sky islands and they're just like, and like one of the sky and like the sky people leaders, they're just like, hey, don't involve us with whatever your blue sea stuff is. Like we don't care, you know, something like that. I could see that.
Yeah, that'd be.
Imagine that happening. Someone comes as a god of the blue sea and meets god of the sky islands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Straight
like,
mythology.
Right, yeah, like Greek mythology, like Zeus and Poseidon. Zeus, you know, god of the sky, and Poseidon, god of the sea. You know, it's crazy. We actually do know that there is something called Zeus in One Piece, and there's something called Poseidon in One Piece.
Yeah.
And Neptune, if it's Roman.
Yeah, if we go by Roman, yeah, we know there's Neptune and there's also Uranus, if I'm not mistaken, is
Jupiter. Uranus is like the
Jupiter,
Titan.
my bad. Yeah. Jupiter, my bad. There's nothing called Jupiter in One Piece, is there?
No. I mean, maybe. I'm trying to think.
I don't think so.
I can't think of anything.
No.
I think Jupiter is a very like imposing name. Especially because of the I don't know, the first time I heard the word Jupiter, it was like the planet, and that's like the largest planet in the solar system, and it's like got this big red thing. And you know, when you describe the planet Jupiter, it kind of sounds like it could be a One Piece, like it could be something like something you would find out of an anime. You know, it's got this big, huge, gigantic storm like that's always been raging there for like hundreds of years, and it's got like all these different moons, and it's got like and it's just like a planet with all these different like poisonous gases, and there could be life on some of these moons, and like whatever life, if there is any life on Jupiter itself, then it must be like something that we can't really comprehend, because like there's nothing on Earth that can sustain. There's no life on Earth that can sustain like the type of gases that are on Jupiter. I don't know. It's an interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's actually kind of surprising me that Oda hasn't used Jupiter for anything.
Yeah, nothing relating to like Jupiter at all, you know. Maybe, you know, on the moon.
I mean, we could do what we do with everything that seems to possibly come in the future, but we don't know when it's coming, and just throw it to Elbaf.
Right. Elbaf, let's go.
Although I do think Elbaf is going to be a lot more like Norse mythology based, because we already know about Loki. And
most certainly, because Vikings, they've always had that Viking. Elbaf warriors have always had that Viking aesthetic, and that's just how they've been. And yeah, but so definitely Norse stuff. Also, well, we know Enel has a move called El Thor, but do we think we could get something relating to like Thor, you know, the Norse god, like maybe his hammer, something like that? I feel like it'd be kind of a missed opportunity if Oda didn't have anything like that, you know. But what would it be if we did have something?
Prince Loki's brother.
I mean, yeah, that's the easy answer, I guess. That is true. Like we could just go through something like that. I feel like something involving Thor's hammer could be used somehow. but I don't really know.
Usopp's final weapon.
That's good. That's a good one.
Oh, I like that
Yeah.
a lot.
We get the infinite ton hammer. That only he can lift.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Only Usopp is
That would be
worthy.
awesome.
Like only Usopp knows how to lift it because it's got like some contraption that like
Like
shocks
sticks it to the ground or something. I don't know.
Exactly. It's a mixture of like everything, dials and stuff from the Grand Line, like everything he's seen. You have to know all of them to pick it up.
Yeah. That would be really fun, actually. Now the more I'm thinking about it, like the more Usopp really needs that. Like, anyone have like, okay, I'm even like thinking of like the design of it. It would look like the actual, a Thor's hammer in like not Greek mythology, Norse mythology looks a little bit different than like modern hammers, and a little bit different from how Thor's hammer looks like in Marvel lore. So like it's a little bit weird shaped. It's got like kind of a. Let me see if I can find it. Don't worry about what it looks like. It just looks different. But yeah, like it would look kind of like how it does. Let's just use Thor's hammer in the Marvel movies as an example, and then like it would have like an infinity sign and then a little T next to it, kind of like how Usopp's hammers are like. They all got like the 10 tons, 100 tons, right? Or what was it, 5 ton and 10 tons, right? But anyway, whatever. But yeah, you got the and so like it would be like an infinity and then like a T, infinity tons or whatever, and then and like I don't know, and it's got like all these little Norse mythology, like it's got like all these little design thingies on them, like they got like the little swirls and the curly cues that like all the Norse aesthetics tend to have on their like little designs of pretty much everything. I don't know. It looks cool. What I'm envisioning in my head looks really cool. I would really like to see something like that.
Imagining Usopp's like Elbaf design right now.
Usopp's Elbaf design. It better like that's got to be like the design where like in Wano, like everybody gets like their different design, like everybody gets their their Japanese designs. And Usopp's current look in Wano, like for the Onigashima raid, that goes hard in my opinion. But
Yeah, I like it.
Yes.
Super cool.
Yeah. But yeah,
guys, does anyone have anything else to say about the world government?
Nothing about the world government. I'm not the more I'm talking, the more I'm thinking. I'm just getting more hyped about Elbaf, and that better be the next arc.
Okay, well we got to talk about where it's going. How do you think the world government's going to end?
Oh yes.
Who's gonna be in control? Is it gonna be gone?
It's gonna be gone
Completely. I don't know. I don't see it completely gone.
I see the Marines existing. I see the world government eliminated.
Yeah, I see the world government being gone. Yeah.
Like complete marine reform. That's what I'm saying. Like everything's just going to be reformed. Maybe we'll see like some beloved characters from along the way in power. Maybe we'll definitely see somebody like Vivi, maybe Rebecca, Shirahoshi. I don't know. What are some other world leaders or country leaders? Dalton.
Dalton. Yeah, we need some Dalton.
Yeah, Dalton. Iceberg. Yeah, we can see like those characters. Maybe they're like forming the new world government or something like that.
Some sort of democracy or something.
Yeah, and it's some kind of democracy because that's where.
I imagine that we would probably get. How do I explain this? A new, for lack of better words, a new Gorosei, because and still have the reverie still happening. That would still go on. Maybe every 2 years, or maybe once every year, maybe something like that, instead of once every 4 years. But when I say new Gorosei, I imagine that maybe more of these prominent kings in the world, and people with like these more influence, maybe the kings of those ones maybe represent. So maybe you get representatives from like New World and each of the blues, and those people run the world government. Because I imagine like someone like Dalton, for example, I don't think he wants to like deal with issues in the world every day. He seems like someone who will be content with his island, taking care of Jump Kingdom, then maybe once a year going to Reverie. So I imagine that maybe there'll be some representatives that will be chosen, or maybe like the people who run the world government, essentially the kings, may change every year. You know, you just kind of have like new representatives from your sea that go and act as the Gorosei, as you will, every year.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe they vote on do you think they like vote on like who's going to be the Gorosei of the year or something like that? That could be kind of interesting.
Yeah. Then you could get real world with it and have all the politics and election days and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
That could be at least kind of fun. Yeah.
I don't think every single country's like. I feel like each country is going to have more individualism. Like, I don't think it's going to be like a whole like, oh, every country now has like a democratic vote and like it's no more world government. I think there's still like individual countries, and it's not like it's going to be just become this perfect happy world. Like it's going to be like still going to be individual countries that like have like their own different. Each country's going to have like different methods, and there's still going to be like wars and stuff. But it's definitely not going to be like this whole authoritarian difference. But it's going to be like a great improvement. Still, nonetheless.
That's why I thought that, like, you know, you probably have people who are going there and changing. Maybe they don't deal with the whole world and being authoritarian, but like just dealing with major issues in the world. And then while the other kings, they can deal with their kingdom, they can do whatever they want in their kingdoms, and they're free to do, you know, what they want, essentially.
Yeah, the only thing I can see is like, you know, it's just the only thing I can concretely see is just like an overarching, you know, theme of freedom. Like it's just absolute freedom in one way or another, somehow for pirates. And I mean, not for pirates, for, you know, all the countries and all the countries who are like formerly oppressed. Now everything is free. That's all I really see.
But interestingly enough, right? Coming back to my question from before, which I asked about, you know, why the Marines listen to the world government and everything we explained there. But how do you expect the relationship to be with like the Marines? Will they, as Brobble was saying before, maybe they were separate Marines? Will they split? Will they just be together? Will they be under this kind of world government, whatever it will be? Will they be their own thing that communicates with the world government?
Okay, I can see something. Here's something that's kind of wholesome, or something, I don't know. But like, maybe like every single Marine gets to like, they get to go back to whichever country they are, and they get to protect that country. You know, that's just the idea that came out of my head. But you know, we could see.
Like, there's a lot of conflict that happens on the oceans. You know, so like I think there's still some that will like be like, there's still going to be a force enforcing law on the ocean.
Yeah. You're still going to fight pirates.
Yeah, it could be something. Yeah, there could be something like I'm thinking something with involving Kobe and Smoker and all the good Marines, Fujitora, and some more of the good Marines. Like we'd probably get something from them. I'm not sure exactly what that would be. You know, but maybe they're like maybe they're like some kind of global Marine. They kind of just go around doing whatever. You know, they kind of go in for help if other countries need help or something like that. Yeah, it's kind of hard to say to say exactly, but you know, it's definitely going to involve, you know, some of those good Marines that we kind of met along the way.
Yeah.
Sure. Oh, just random, but another thought, like with the new world government, what will happen to the cipher pools?
Probably they'll probably I can't see them. I can't see anything else happening than them getting like arrested or something like that. Like there probably won't be any more cipher pool.
Because I at least for CP0, I mean, they probably won't exist because they kind of just exist for social dragons. But I mean, the other cipher pools, because I guess, you know, maybe like the whole point of them is, you know, they're intelligence agencies around the world and they do all these things. So I feel like to some degree, you probably still need, you know, intelligence agencies in your world government, just, you know, as a what's going on in the world. I mean, just likening it to the real world. It's not like, you know, like every country has its own intelligence agency. So I feel, I mean, to some degree, I feel like they may still exist, but I'm not sure. Maybe they won't exist in the same way.
Maybe they'll just report corruption or something.
Yeah, they report corruption or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not like we've seen any like good CP agents, so like we can't really say, oh, this character could lead the new cipher pool or anything like that.
Oh,
I mean,
Kaku's alright.
actually, we could get like some kind of redemption from Kaku, from like Drake. Maybe he leads a new cyber role, or Kobe since he's in Sword.
Sword could be the new Gorosei. Wait. Have you guys seen this picture?
Yeah. I mean, man, whoever's making this is gonna have to edit this. Hold on. Let's see. What is it exactly? Oh, I have not seen this. But okay, let's see. Interesting. That's all I can really say. So you think they're going to be the new Gorosei?
No, I don't think they will be. I just thought it was a funny picture to add because it had relevance to Sword, the government.
Law's looking pretty fancy. Like he's looking pretty fancy, and as with the robes, with the Sword Gandhi robes,
He doesn't look that different.
So is Kuzan with this suit. We've never seen him in anything like that before.
He has no neck here. He has no neck in this image.
Yeah, Garp has no neck.
Dude, Kobe's really making me uncomfortable there.
Yeah, why is he so tall? And yeah,
never mind.
And for Drake, he just it's just shoulders and then neck, or maybe not even shoulders, just extended neck and then arms. I don't know.
I was really the only one with the neck here.
Yeah, Law's really the only one. This could be how it could go. I don't know. I don't know. I can't see the Gorosei. I can't see them being the Gorosei. They have to be natural leaders, really. Just natural leaders. They
so Kong,
really, intelligent people. Yeah, maybe. Well, yeah. I mean, we don't really know anything about Kong.
Yeah.
Just really intelligent people, people who are calm and they can make decisions, really good decisions and stuff like that. I can't see Law wanting to be wanting to make decisions for the entire world, basically.
I just personally don't see it being so top heavy. Whatever the new system is, it's not going to be so reliant on such a small group of people. There's, like you said, it's going to be more based on freedom, it feels like, because this didn't work the first time. Why would they do it again,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah.
So that's a good thing. I like that idea that it's not going to be so individually based on a certain group of individuals. It's going to be way more influence on collective.
Yeah. Well, I'm starting to run out of disk space. So because I have all my recordings on my computer, and I'm recording everything on this really lightweight laptop that doesn't have very much space. But yeah, you want to say just a few last things before we go?
I don't have anything.
All right.
My last thing probably to say is that we talked about the whole world government. We even mentioned that their connection to the Marines. We talked about the Marines, how things were, how things will be, and no one mentioned Kong. I mean, we don't know anything about him, but just saying. It's a bit sad.
We could talk about him in episode after next, maybe.
Oh yeah, maybe.
I don't remember what that one's about.
For 3 admirals, but we could talk about the Marines.
Oh, I was thinking
okay,
2.
cool.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, Kong is just so there's literally nothing about him. Okay,
yeah.
They're so titled for Monkey D. Kong, Ender in Chief, or whatever his role is called. I'm all right.
No, he's not Monkey D. Kong.
Yeah, it's he's not Monkey D.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I've seen those.
But anyways, yeah. But yeah, thanks for watching. People watching or listening. Be sure to subscribe to all the people in the description. And if you are a small One Piece creator or want to support small One Piece creators, join the server. We can talk, and you can collab with friends, make friends. It's a small, chill server. It's not like one of those servers where it's really fast and chaotic. And that's really all I gotta say. So yeah, peace.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.